Are your headlights looking old and faded, making it hard to see at night when driving? Then come along with us and we'll explain why this happens and what you can do to bring it back to looking new. Let's go. Hey guys, Musa here from Quantum Home Improvements and Solutions. Welcome back. And if this is your first time to our channel, it's great having you join us. And so today I'm with my friend Dave, Nicholas, and Joe Suzuka from Intellect Finance.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
And so I called these guys together because we all have a similar issue. Now, my wife bought this car back a few months ago, and one of her headlights looked creamy. It looked like it was fading, and it had a bit of a problem at night time. You can see there's less light on the road, and that tends to happen when your headlights get milky. So I did a bit of investigating and found there's a number of ways of fixing this issue. And so one way is actually using toothpaste and baking powder. Another way is just buffing it up. Another way, using solutions. Now, the problem is any of those ideas are short term. Now, the reason this happens, these headlights are made from polycarbonate, which they started manufacturing these headlights around about the early 80s. So now it's prominent, they're everywhere. And if you actually look at these products, they've got a coating and it starts to come off or it starts to fade around the 10-year mark. Joseph, how old is your car?
It's a 2014 model, so it's 10 years old.
10 years old. When did you start seeing them fading?
Probably in the last year or two.
Yeah. Now, I've noticed on your headlights more than others, and I've seen it on Dave's as well, there's cracking in it. Now, that's an issue because you can't fix cracking, okay, because that means that the actual polycarbonate is deteriorating. Okay, so now, Nicholas, how old is your car?
Since 2004.
2004? And when roughly do you think yours started fading?
Probably 2014, around
Yeah.
2014. Yeah.
Okay. And so it's the same issue. Polycarbonate tends to, if you coat it, tends to only last for about 10 years. Now, there is great news here, but first I'll ask Dave, when did yours start?
About 5 years ago.
And how old is the car?
My car's probably 15 years old.
So it's very similar. Okay, so there's a bit of a pattern here. So doing a bit of research, I found that the best way to actually treat this is actually to coat them again. So I went to Auto West and spoke to my mate Ryan, and he gave me a rundown what he does. Now, he's a professional spray painter, and remembering these cars are in the sun all the time. And so he told me that the best solution is to use a 2-pack enamel spray. Now, that's good, but he said you've got to rub them down first, and you've got to use wet and dry paper, and you've got to start off with a 240 paper, go to 400, 600, 800, and to 1,000. Now, some people go to 2,000 or 3,000. Now, that depends on what product you're using. Now, in this case here, because we're going to use a 2-pack enamel, we're only going to go to 1,000, and that'll cover it nicely. So first, you've got to put a primer on there to allow the 2-pack enamel to stick. And so this primer is for the automotive industry. So it's for steel, plastic, aluminium, and fiberglass. So we want this to last at least a minimum another 10 years. So even though I haven't done this before, I do have a lot of spray painting experience, and I've been spraying most of my life. And if you are interested, I've made 2 videos showing how to fix a panel on my car and also on Rob's van. Now, the van itself was metallic, and I did a blend, and it turned out fantastic. And once again, I got the paint from Auto West. So if you are interested, I'll put a link below in descriptions. So I'm usually apprehensive doing something for the first time that I've never done before to see whether it's going to work or not. But I did contact a friend of mine named Tony, who actually did this same process last year. And I had a conversation with him just only a week ago, and he confirmed that the headlights still look perfect, and that's after a year. So we've got a lot of work to do, so we're going to get into it. And Joe Suzuka, I hope you behave yourself.
Let's go.
I've cut the paper. So as I said, there's a 240, 400, 600, 800, and 1,000 grade. So we've got all the different sizes, so that's fine. But before we start, we're going to tape up the paint area. We don't want to scratch it as we're sanding down. So I'll just run that through. So it's hard to turn sticky tape around a corner. So I'm just careful not to actually put the sticky tape on the plastic. So later we're going to use some newspaper to protect the paint. All right, so that's done. So now all we're going to do is just get some water, which I've got in the bucket here. And then we start sanding down. Okay, I'll put a sock in it and we'll get into it. So I'll just wet it down first. Now I do have a cork board here, so it's a flat surface. I did chop the cork board in half so it's more flexible. And I got this from the paint shop. And so now, all we do is just rub that back. You're gonna see it go milky because we're taking off that film, that original film. Now you won't be able to see this on camera, but it looks like a greeny, creamy color. So with my wife's car, the other side is actually almost new, which tells me that they've replaced the light at one point, probably from an accident or something. So I'm only going to be doing this side of this car. And so while I'm doing this, the guys are watching and they're just about to get into their own. Now I've gone free without corkboard at this point because this is too tight. So the more effort you put into this, the better this is going to turn out. So what I'm doing here is just continually squeezing the water from this rag, this sock, and just squeezing it, just giving it a bit more coverage with the paper. Okay guys, do you think you can do that?
Let's go.
Yep, absolutely. Okay.
So now I've let that dress dry for a minute just while showing the guys how to sticky tape. Now you can see a little spot here that's still shiny, and this is an indicator that hasn't been sanded down properly, so we do need to get that out. So now I'll just do that by hand. So Joseph was asking me, how about if we miss a spot? You can see when you've missed a spot. You can see it's not roughed up. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm going to go to 400. Now at no point will this go clear, so don't expect it to. It's basically just going to get milkier and milkier. But you should see less scratches the finer the paper we go. Now I can't use a block on mine, it's just there's too many contours to it. I haven't got many flat spots. I'm just going to do this by hand. Okay, so Joseph looks like he's finished his. So once you're finished, I'm going to get you to start sanding down, Joe. And now I finished with the 400, I'm now going to go to a 600. So while we're sanding this down, I've got Nicholas shaking the cans and he's doing a great job.
Like how much do you sand? When do you stop?
Keep going, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see that milkiness, but it's got to be all fogged up. Go a little bit harder, push a little bit harder. That's it, because you've got a 240 paper, that's going to strip it off. And that's what we need at this point. I think, Nicholas, your lights have been buffed and polished before, going by the colour of that.
That's right. I did polish them like a year ago.
Yep.
By the mechanic.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So this is proof that if you do just polish it, it's going to come back to.
Absolutely.
In actual fact, I think it comes back with a vengeance. It actually makes it much worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because really, it's been really hard to see at night.
Yeah.
Driving.
Yep.
And yeah, I've done
Yeah, because the light is not transmitting through the cloud of the polycarb.
That's
So what
right.
you basically do is just take the cloud off so the light can transmit through it.
That's right. No, I'm really excited to see how this looks like because, yeah, this has been a pain, really.
This is going to turn out fantastic, and because you did your dance,
Yeah.
it's going to turn out even better.
Can't wait.
So I'm just stripping the plastic off. It's a sticker. I'm just stripping that off. Okay, so that's all off. If you can keep going, please, Nicholas. Okay, so you can see there's film strips here. This also looks like it's been buffed and polished. And you can see when you put water on there, it's very inconsistent. It's going to need a lot of water initially. Yeah, yours is the same. It's the same color as Nicholas's. It looks like it's been buffed and polished. Now, it could be wrong here, but it looks like it. Yeah, that's looking good, Dave.
You go in a circular motion or doesn't matter?
Okay, so it's best, Dave, if you keep it one direction when you're doing your first sanding, and when you do the other sanding, try to go the opposite direction, okay? You're looking good there, Nicholas.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to get back into doing mine. So now I'm going to go to the 800 paper. So now we're really fining this up, taking out a lot of the scratches. And so I'm going to go the opposite direction. So the sticky tape's come off. I'm just going to be really careful not to touch the paint. Okay, that's looking fantastic. I actually can see how consistent those scratches are now. So it's hardly any scratches in it. So now I'm going to go to the 1000 paper. So when you do have a lot of contours on your lights like mine, just bend your hand, curve it to the contours, and try to feel your whole hand touching the lens. And that way it's going to be more consistent. Okay, so now mine's finished. Now I'm going to help Mr. Suka do his.
Thanks, Samosa.
Jay, this is looking fantastic. It's really good, it's very consistent. Okay, so I was expecting this to be really, really difficult, but actually this is quite easy. It's actually sanding down beautifully, and because we're starting with a 240, that really does make it a lot easier. Okay, so Joe, just let this dry up for a minute and see how it looks, see if there's any glossed areas. Yeah, that's looking really good. I actually like that. There's no shine spot anywhere, probably just a little bit just in that edge there and just there, so around the corner and where you have to use your hand. This is fantastic, man. It looks fantastic. Good job, man.
Thank you.
Good job.
So good.
I would probably just touch it a little bit in there because I will be spraying, so just touch it a little bit. Yeah, you're doing well. Now see, even with the 400, see how there's that sediment that's coming off that, dripping with the water? It means you're really taking a lot off. That's good. You're taking off what you need to.
So when it stops coming off, that's when you know you've
Well, when you get to 1,000, it won't do it like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it'll become finer. It'll just become milky, and that's what you want. Right now, I can see scratches. We need to get the scratches out now because we've taken the old film off. Now we're going to just take all the scratches out.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready to go. We've sanded down the headlights, we've cleaned them up, let it dry. We've taped up the headlights with the newspapers. We've put some drop sheets for the overspray. You've got to be careful of the overspray, especially with 2-pack enamel. It's very hard to get that off, so we want to cover that area completely. So now we are ready, but we did actually have an issue. We actually already sprayed these headlights with the primer using the Grip 4. And so what happened, that was the first time I've used this product, and I sprayed a bit too much. And Nicholas went on really well, and so did Joe's. But when we did Dave's, we found that the whole thing just cracked. Now, I rang up Ryan from Auto West and he gave me a rundown. He said, first of all, you only put this on very, very lightly. So there's a big learning curve for me. And so what Ryan said, and this was what we found, is we could see another layer. So David's ones have actually been painted before, been sprayed. And so we had to take all that off and then the original coating. So it really was messed up. So one thing I've got to tell you, really sand these well. And if you do see there's a discoloration, which we found, you need to stop at that point and sand it down even further. So we did end up using 120 grade paper, and we just scarred it off and then went back to 240, 400, 600, 800 and 1,000, just like we did before. So we did actually give up on that day. So we're now back again. So once you put the primer on and you let it dry for more than 20 minutes, you've got to let it dry properly, and then you've got to come back and give it a light rub. So I've gone through and we've given them all back a light rub again. So now I'll just tape up my car and we'll go through and I'm going to show you how lightly I'm going to put on this primer. So now I'll get Joe giving me a hand. We're just going to tape up this headlight, the last one. So basically what I'm doing here is just covering the paint completely. Okay. So when I'm putting it on, I'm not able to go around the curves properly. So I just put a straight run and then I just put a little piece in there to cover. Just make sure that the newspaper's covering all the way over. You don't want to leave any gaps here for the overspray. And just tape that down as well so the paper doesn't fly around when you're spraying. All right, so now we're ready to put the primer on, which is the Grip 4 and made by U-pol. It's a really good product. Now, before we do that, we need to put the wax and grease remover, and I'm going to use a microfiber cloth. So you wipe this on, fairly liberal. Then you've got to use another side and wipe it back off. You don't leave the residue. Okay, so again, just very gently. So I'm not putting it on thick at all. So you can give this 2 coats. You need to wait 20 minutes between them, but you can see that's very, very thin. I'm actually not going to put any more than that because I've learnt my lesson. It's looking good, AJ.
Wow. I can see the changes.
Yeah.
A lot different, actually.
Look at that, Nicholas.
Wonderful.
Okay, last one. That's heaps better, eh, Dave?
Much better, much better.
Now, this one here looks a little bit sort of foggy. Now, all of them do look foggy to a degree. Now, Ryan did say that the headlights will look a bit milky. And he said, just leave them for 20 minutes and they'll be fine. Now, when you do finish spraying, you're supposed to empty out the can, just turn it upside down and let that spray out, and then just clean your tip. Okay, so now we're ready to put the 2-pack enamel on. So this is a 2-part system. So basically you take the red section off the lid, you turn it upside down, and you place this button on the back. Now you've got to push really hard on this, and you can hear it go in, and it comes back out again, so it pops out. Okay, so 2-pack enamel is actually quite dangerous, and in the building trade, there's a thing called silicosis. It's one of the biggest killers in the industry. Now, I'm not sure about the automotive industry, but they do suggest when you do spray with 2-pack enamel that you put a mask on. So the last video I made, I was in a bit of a hurry and I was so busy explaining everything that needs to be done, I forgot to put the mask on. So a bit of a disclaimer, my last video, which I will post it in the descriptions, does not show me wearing a mask. So that's on me, that's my bad. So with both these cans, you're supposed to shake them for 2 minutes, but with the 2-pack enamel, once you then apply the second component of the 2-pack, you've got to mix that in for another 2 minutes. And the optimal temperature for spraying is around about 20 to 25 degrees. Okay, so with the first coat, once again, you only go very, very lightly, and then you can come back and do a second or a third coat, depending on whether it needs it or not. Wow. Wow, that looks spectacular. That looks amazing. Okay, so now we'll do Dave's. Done. Okay, lucky last, we've got Joe's. They look beautiful.
Wow, I'm very impressed.
Not bad, hey Joe?
Pretty good.
Wow, Joe, that looks brand new.
Yeah.
That looks fantastic.
Oh, that's like when I first bought the car.
Wow, I'm amazed how this looks. Okay, so now we're ready for the second coat, and I'm going to put it on a little bit more liberal this time, not too much. Okay guys, what do you think? So it tends to go a little bit milky on the second coat. You can see it going to milky just here, but when that dries, it should dry clear. So I'll just have a look at mine. Yeah, so you can see here, this was a little milky. Now it's just totally one color. That is really good. So you can go up to 3 coats, Ryan was telling me, but he did say also that you can sand these down with a 2000 grade paper and actually polish them, so buff them. We're not going to do that, we're just going to leave them the way they are. Yeah, this is a long-term product. So with the 2-pack enamel, I didn't say earlier that once you combine the 2 ingredients and you shake it, the can will only last for 24 hours. Now, some people do put it in the fridge and it can go up to 7 days, but the company, U-pol, does not recommend that, so it's best to just do them all one go. And that's actually the reason why on the day when everything went south, we just decided to call it quits, because we wanted to use those spray cans for all the cars one go. So if you do buff and polish them, you do have to wait overnight before you sand them down. So now we're just going to let these dry for a little while, and then we'll strip all the newspaper off. Okay guys, what do you think?
It's incredible.
I've got brand new headlights on my car.
Looks
So much better.
Yeah,
It's as if, you know, you've just washed out everything. So it's looking
brilliant.
so good.
No, I'm very impressed. Joe, actually yours turned out probably the best.
I think it did, yeah.
It's incredible. Yours look brand new, literally brand new.
I don't think I've ever seen them because I never bought the car brand new, so I've never
Ah,
seen that. Yeah, pretty
okay. Mate, very good. So 2-pack enamel will last probably around about 10 years, and that's why we've done it this way. Now, my son Marcus actually did his car. He has to go for rego, and he put a quick fix on there. He just put some bicarb and some lemon. And so he was really happy with the finish of that. Personally, I didn't think it looked good at all.
No, I didn't like it either. It didn't look good.
Guys, I enjoyed working with you, and I do apologise that it went over 2 days.
No, that's
no
fine.
worries.
That's fine. The end result is really good.
Yeah, look, I'm happy with it. I'm actually, thanks, Ryan. Yeah, look, and Nicholas, thanks for your dancing. I mean, you are incredible.
Always happy when you get something. So thanks, Musa. Thank you.
Very inspirational.
Okay, so that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And if you have any comments at all, please leave them below and I will get back to you. And I'd ask you, please consider to subscribe, hit the like button and share this video, and there's many more to come. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, ready?
Oh, were you gonna dance?
No.
You're doing that. I saw. Yeah.
Ready?
Is this the African in you? Is this?
He's
Look,
doing
he's dancing.
it,
He's
doing
doing it.
As long as Nicholas's dancing is in the video, I'm happy.
So if you are interested, I'll put a link below in descriptions. All right.
Let's go.
Oh, okay, so Joe being the girl that he is, I'm going to have to give him a hand.
And your camera's in the shade too.
So you wipe this on, fairly liberal, or Labor.
Oh, that one is a little bit funny. Okay.